Hey there! Have you ever had to tell a friend what somebody else said? Of course you have, right? We do it all the time. Well, today we're going to learn the two main ways English gives us to do this just right. We're talking about direct and indirect speech. So, let's jump right in.
All right, to make this super clear, let's follow a little story. Meet our two friends, Neha and Ahmet. And as our story starts, Neha's got something pretty exciting she wants to tell Ahmet.
So Neha says to Amit, and listen really carefully to her exact words. She says, I am visiting the new museum in the city tomorrow. Now, did you see those little marks around what she said? We call those speech marks, and trust me, they're super important for this. Okay, so here's the big question. Let's say Amit wants to go and tell another friend about Neha's plan. How would he do it? I mean, it's something we do every single day without even thinking about it, right? And the cool thing is, there are two really clear ways to get it done.
So, here's our game plan for today. We're going to look at how we share conversations, compare direct and indirect speech, and then dive into the three big changes you need to know. We'll also check out how to handle questions and commands, and then we'll wrap it all up with a quick recap of the rules. Sound good?
All right, first up, sharing a conversation. The two ways to report speech. So when Ahmet goes to share Neha's news, he's got two choices.
And here they are, right next to each other. On the left, you've got direct speech. That's where Amit uses Neha's exact words. And on the right, indirect speech, where he's just reporting the main idea. Just by looking, can you already spot a few differences? Let's break it all down. Okay, let's start with direct speech. Honestly, this is the easy one. You're basically just quoting someone, word for word. The biggest clue? You'll always see those speech marks hugging the sentence. It's like you hit record on what they said, and you're just playing it back.
And now for the other one, indirect speech, which is also called reported speech. This is where you become a bit of a reporter. See, you're not quoting them directly anymore. Instead, you're telling us the meaning of what they said. It's their story, but told in your words. Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty. The three big changes, from direct to indirect. Now this is the really important bit. How do we actually change a sentence from one to the other? It might look a bit tricky at first, but honestly, it all boils down to three main changes. Let's tackle them one by one.
Change number one is all about punctuation, and this is the easiest one to remember for sure. The speech marks, they just disappear. Poof! Gone. Why? Well, because we're not quoting the exact words anymore, so we don't need them.
And here's a perfect look at that. In direct speech, you see she said, I am going to the store. But look at the indirect version. The speech marks are gone. And that little comma after said, that's gone too. It just makes the whole thing flow as one smooth sentence. All right, on to change number two. Pronouns. Think about it. The speaker changes, so the pronouns have to change too. This one is just common sense, really. If Neha says, I am going, and I tell you about it later, I wouldn't say, I am going, right? I'd say, she is going. The person telling the story has changed, so the words have to change to match. This example shows that change in perspective perfectly. He says, I will finish the project, but when someone else reports it, the I has to become he. It's all about making sure we know exactly who we're talking about, keeping everything nice and clear. And now for our third big change, verb tenses. Okay, I know this one can seem a little tricky, but there's a really simple way to think about it. Basically, we just take one step back in time. Since the person already said the thing, it happened in the past, right? Our verb tense needs to reflect that.
Now this table, this is your new best friend for verb tenses. Just look at the pattern here. Present simple, like I go, becomes past simple, he went. Present continuous, something like I am playing, becomes past continuous, he was playing. You see that? Even the future with will steps back to become would. It's almost always just one simple step backwards in time.
Yeah, just think of it like this. The moment someone says something, that moment is now in the past. So when we talk about it later, our verbs have to show that time is past. The action is something that happened or was talked about before now.
Here's another great example. In direct speech, he says, I am reading a book. Present tense, right? But when we report it, it becomes, he said that he was reading a book. See that? The am became was. We've just taken that one little step back into the past. Simple as that.
Awesome. So we've totally got statements down. But wait, what about when someone asks a question or gives a command? Well, the great news is that the same logic still works. We just need to learn one or two little tricks. So take a look at these. When reporting a question like, are you coming? We use a word like if. So it becomes, he asked if I was going to the party. And notice, the question mark is gone. For a command like, close the door, we might use told me to. So he told me to close the door. In both cases, we're turning them into normal statements. Phew! We have covered a lot of ground. So let's do a quick recap of the rules. These are the most important things you need to remember.
All right, let's quickly run through our checklist. Rule number 1, get rid of the quotation marks. Rule 2, change the pronouns so they make sense. Rule 3, shift that verb tense one step back into the past. Rule 4, and this is an important one, change time words. So tomorrow becomes the next day, and today becomes that day. And finally, Rule 5, turn any questions or commands into regular statements. And that's pretty much it.
Look, if you only remember one thing from all this, let it be this. The key is to report the meaning, not just copy the words. Your job isn't to be a parrot, just repeating things. It's to be a good reporter, sharing the message clearly. Okay, enough talk. Practice makes perfect, so now it is your turn. Have a look at this sentence. She said, I am going to the market. How would you report that? Think about our rules, punctuation, pronouns, and that verb tense. Give it a shot. You ready? And the answer is, she said that she was going to the market. Well done, did you get it? The speech marks are gone. I changed to she, and am going stepped back in time to become was going. You've just nailed the basics of direct and indirect speech. Fantastic work today.